Excellent. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Florida Local Food Project's very first virtual training on navigating networks, enhancing brand value, and diversifying revenue streams. Again, thank you, Erica, for the introduction, for having us today. We have a lot of really great information that we're going to cover in this virtual training. So I'm really excited to dive straight in. So let's get started. I am Lana Chehabeddine. I am the local food project coordinator with Florida Organic Growers. I will be covering the first segment of this training on navigating networks and building relationships. We have 3 different parts of the training today that are going to address some of the biggest needs and barriers we've come across thus far in our research and data collection for the Florida Local Food Project. We are switching it up a little bit today. If you guys saw the initial flyer for this virtual training, we had another person from FOG that was going to be covering the diversifying revenue streams segment, and Andy is actually going to be filling in for us, and I'll have her introduce herself in just a minute. But we'll still be covering the same topics, just in slightly different order. I'll be starting us off for this training, but I want to give you guys a quick little introduction of myself, and then I'll pass it on to my colleagues. But as I mentioned, my name is Lana. I am the Local Food Project Coordinator, and I am a Texas native based in South Florida. I've been here for 23 years. My roots in food are quite thick and deep because of my cultural upbringing. I grew up in a Middle Eastern household and had a really great exposure to all things food. And so one really fun little tidbit I want to share in my local food highlight is a plant that I discovered. It grows really well, actually, in South Florida. We call it malakhiyya in Arabic, but it's also known as Egyptian spinach. And I actually came across it at a tree nursery in Florida and was really excited because this is something that I grew up eating my entire life, and had no idea that it could be grown in the soil of Florida. So I was really excited to share this plant with my mother, and just wanted to let you guys know that that's a really close plant to my heart. So wanted to share that really fun and exciting fact, and I'll pass it over to Andy.
Sorry, hi. I'm Andy Emrich. I am Programs Manager at Florida Organic Growers, and I'm filling in for Courtney, who couldn't be with us today. So I will do my absolute best. But if you have further questions after my presentation, feel free to reach out to Courtney or I, whoever you like. And I'm a little bit interesting in the fact that I live in Canada, but I work for Florida Organic Growers. So I lived in Florida for the last 7 years and worked for FOG the entire time I was there. But I moved home to Canada last year and am working from home here. So I wanted to share what I thought would be maybe a different local food that we celebrate here in New Brunswick, my home province, and that's fiddleheads. So every spring, people go out and harvest the unfurled ferns, fiddlehead or fiddle leaf ferns, and we steam them, usually with butter and maybe garlic, and eat them, and they're absolutely delicious. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I love fiddleheads. Those are amazing. My name is Meredith Morgan. I use they, them pronouns. I am the Service and Support Manager for Quality Certification Services. We are a certification body. We are actually the certification arm of Florida Organic Growers, sort of the regulatory side of it. I wanted to share the pawpaw tree. So I am based here in Richmond, Virginia. And Virginia, the state of Virginia doesn't have a state like fruit or state fruit tree. And there's been an ongoing debate of in our legislature about making the pawpaw our state fruit tree, because it's one of the few if not one of the only, indigenous fruit trees that is native to the eastern part of the United States, happens to grow super, super well here. And they're kind of like delicious little guava-y things, but it's a great fruit. It's a native tree. It's an indigenous tree, and it also has caused this like huge political controversy, which is very silly for a tree to have done. So yeah, happy to be here. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Meredith. Thank you, Andy. So before we get started with the presentation portion, training portion of this session, I want to have everyone actually scan this QR code that you see in front of you. You can also enter the poll by going to slido.com and entering the number you see on the screen. If you're joining through your phone, it might be hard to scan the QR code. We just want to ask a few questions to find out a little bit more about who's tuning in before we get the training started. So I will give you guys a minute to start entering your answers, and we'll take it from there. All right, I think it's been about a minute, so I think we'll have, there we go, some people putting in their answers here. I think the more responses that pop up, they'll be coming kind of flowing in. I see 4 participants typing. Awesome. So far we have Madison County, Canada, not a county, but still very much applicable. Suwannee, Lake, Southwest Florida region, Sarasota, Pinellas, Broward. I'm also in Broward. All right, I'll just give a couple more seconds to see kind of where else people are tuning in from. Looks like we have people from all over and not really mainly from one region of Florida, which is really cool to see because the most common response would pop up as the biggest, but they're all kind of spread out pretty evenly. Alachua. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone from joining, you know, from all over the state, and even outside the country. You know, we're really excited to get the word out to everyone living across the state, because this project, the Florida Local Food Project, is a statewide project. So we really want to engage everyone across Florida. So thank you for filling in that question. We actually have a second question that for some reason is not popping up on my end. Let me just see if I can. Oh, there we go. Pinellas is a big one. Give me one moment to see if I can pop up that second question in here.
Looks like you got it. I'm seeing it. What sector are you affiliated with?
Oh, perfect. That slide should also pop up on my end so that we could see the answers to that one, but maybe we can have Kathy share that really quickly. Kathy, are you able to show that slide?
Yes, you'd have to unshare your screen so I can.
Is it still sharing?
Mm-hmm.
All right, give it a try. So our second question, just to
They haven't. Sorry.
let everyone know. Oh, here we go. Is what county in Florida are you joining from today? So please also enter your responses to that poll. I'm sorry, not that one. Which sector are you affiliated with? We have a few different, obviously there's a ton of different places, industries within the food industry. So we're trying to find out, you know, what area do you work in? If you're an entrepreneur, farming industry, nonprofit, consumer, educator.
We've got
Looks
some
like-
others, about 30%. Oh, educator. Look at that.
Oh, very cool. So it looks like we have a really big farming industry. And Kathy, if you scroll down, are there more that are popping up at the bottom there? Educational food entrepreneur, 11%. All right, so looks like we have
Ones are
a
at the top. Mhm.
nice mix of everyone.
If you
Awesome.
entered other, if you don't mind putting that in the chat, just so that we have what sectors that you're affiliated with. And then that's the next question.
Yeah, so our last question is, what are you most excited to learn about today? I know we're gonna be covering a lot of different parts of this training, a lot of information. So if there's anything specific you're really looking forward to, please let us know. I see 2 participants typing. We really want to hear from you guys so that we make sure to cover those topics as best as possible in today's training. So I'll give everyone a minute to submit their answers. Networks, yes. I am really excited about talking about networks. The barriers folks face with market access, so we can address them. Excellent answer. Farming options. See a few more people typing. To learn more about what initiatives and projects there are in Florida for urban farms, promoting our services, programs, brand value. Definitely going to be covering that a whole lot. All right. Learning about networking opportunities our farm could benefit from. Wonderful. Awesome. And I see one more person was typing. Network expansion. Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys so much for answering the poll. I'm going to be resharing my screen. Do we have the right screen up? Can I get a thumbs up?
No,
No.
this is your version.
I had a feeling. Do I get a thumbs up now?
You're good to go.
All right.
And Lana, it seems as if education and networking are the 2 big themes that most people are interested in. So I just wanted to note that in the chat I put it.
Thank you, Erica, for letting us know. Yes, those are actually 2 of the biggest barriers and needs, I guess I could say, maybe the needs that we've come across as well in our conversation with folks. So it's good to have that reiterated, because education and networks are probably the 2 biggest pieces we're trying to accomplish with this project. So just before we jump into more of the nitty-gritty, thank you all for entering responses into the Slido poll. It's really great to see, you know, where everyone is chiming in from, what areas of the food system you work in, and speaking on building relationships. The first thing that we want to do to really get this conversation rolling is talking about shared values. So one of the biggest factors in creating strong relationships is identifying shared values. What we're going to do in this activity is actually break up into 3 breakout rooms with each presenter hopefully in one room to help guide the conversation a little bit. So the question that we're trying to propose here is, as a group in the breakout room, we're asking if you can discuss the values most applicable to you, identifying the values that might not apply as much and the ones that you really strongly align with. And if there are ones that are missing, feel free to talk about those as well. And after this activity, we'll spend about 5 minutes, I think, working on this in the breakout rooms, and then maybe another 5 minutes for each group to present some of the findings that they shared. So, Erica, do you have the ability to set that up for us?
Let me see. How many breakout rooms?
3.
With Meredith, Andy, and Lana being in separate ones.
Okay, I'm looking, should I assign automatically, manually, or let participants choose room? If I assign automatically, it's 6 participants per room.
Yep.
That works.
Okay, here we go.
All right, looks like people are starting to filter back in.
Emily, did you see my message?
Sorry, I missed it.
I have a donor interested in food projects in Sarasota.
Oh, sweet.
So-
Let me put you want me to put my email in the chat if that's helpful?
Okay, great.
Oh, I see it now. Okay. Yeah, I'll respond to you. And also, Jessica, I'm going to send a couple links your way.
I'll share you my email in the chat.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have everyone back? I'm so happy we had connections already made. At least an hour in my breakout room. It looks like everyone's filtered back. Just want to make sure we have everyone.
Sorry, Walt. I wanted to give you a warning that it was counting down on our screen.
I'm sorry about that. Didn't mean to cut anyone off. I just wanted to make sure we're trying to stay on top of time. So if
Yeah.
anyone didn't get to finish their conversations, please continue to do so in the chat. We were going to talk about what we discovered also and share, the top shared values. I just want to share really quickly in my group, waste and innovation were the top 2 environmental values that we talked about. Please share the other top values that were discussed in the chat because we are kind of already running behind on time. So thank you everyone for participating in that activity. Actually, it was really nice to see what people, what stood out most for everyone. And I just want to dive more into what we're doing with this project. So for the project itself, when it comes to the food system, we know that many of the key players along the supply chain are interconnected. From farmer to processor, distributor, retailer, restaurant, consumer, there's a lot that takes place behind the scenes before food arrives on our plates. And so building stronger relationships between farms, chefs, food entrepreneurs, and other key local actors is really the main objective behind the Florida Local Food Project. This is a really exciting USDA funded project that is statewide and focuses on enhancing our local food system. We have an amazing advisory council made up of a couple of ag economy professors from the University of Florida. We have Erica Hall from the Florida Food Policy Council, as well as Feeding Florida on that committee. So we have a really great team also dedicating to pushing this forward. And so coming to the purpose of this project, in addition to kind of building these relationships, or as a result of building these relationships, we hope that we will increase local food access and availability by connecting key local food actors across the state of Florida. And what I mean by key local food actors are really what is listed here in the target population. So the most influential participants in the action of producing, promoting, providing, and or selling local foods in their communities. As I said, this is a statewide project. And as we know from the 2017 USDA Ag Consensus, there are 47,000 farms in Florida. So this gives us a really large opportunity as a state to drive more locally grown food into our restaurants, schools, hospitals, and other institutions. We are defining local food as food grown within the state of Florida and or within 50 miles of the border. We are largely focusing on the farm, restaurant, and food business sectors. And since local food systems are place specific, we hope to merge the production, distribution, and consumption of foods with a community network. And so as you can see in the timeline, this project is taking place from this year all the way up until September of 2025. And so we are driving forward a vision of creating a Florida Local Food Network, which is an online branch of the project where long-term connections can be formed and made stronger. And I'll talk about that in just a little bit more in just a second. But I kind of also want to touch on the relationship building opportunities that will come through this project. So we will have 5 different virtual trainings. This is the first of 5 over the next couple of years. And those topics that will the topics will be determined by the key local food actors themselves. We've been collecting research on needs and barriers this entire year to try to determine maybe what are the highest, most predominant needs and barriers. And we mentioned earlier, education and networks is one of the biggest needs. So we're taking the opportunity now in this training to really talk about this a little bit more. So for the virtual trainings, this is our first one. We will announce pretty soon when the next ones are going to come and what that topic will be. But the second thing is what I mentioned a little bit earlier, this Florida Local Food Network. We're going to be pretty much having this online community where folks can create profiles, have direct messaging, have a public forum where they can ask questions, seek resources, have an events calendar, a map feature. There will be a few different things that we're looking to launch with this Florida Local Food Network. So that is going to be a really exciting piece to this project that we will be putting together ourselves to address the need for a network for these people to really connect to one another. And something that goes beyond a social media page, something that has a little bit more to offer. So we're looking at platforms that really can provide those things. And we'll get into that in just a moment as well. Besides that, we have our local food celebration days, which will take place anywhere between a farm, a restaurant, a farmer's market, and really just hone in on the key actors themselves in that region. Same with the on-farm events that will take place on farms all across Florida. We'll have 3 of those. We will have 3 of the food celebration days, and we will have 3 symposiums, each in North, Central, and South Florida. So there will be plenty of opportunities for people to come and together, connect, start building these relationships and strengthen the local food community. And then speaking of the value of local food, we just wanted to kind of bring back the values that we talked about in the session that we had, the activity at the beginning of this training. So just wanting to highlight here that there are a plethora of values that come from enhancing the local food system. We have social, environmental, and economic benefits that are reaped from, enhancing our local food system. In the social sphere, we have first of all, developing relationships with your farmers, understanding where food is grown, how it's grown, what's in it. Also getting food that is higher in nutritional density, because when food is picked and shipped and it takes time for it to get processed, the nutritional value of food loses and kind of lessens, it goes down. And I'll touch on that a little bit more in the next slide. But we also lose the peak flavor. We don't really have the seasonality if we're not doing local food, because to have, blueberries all year round is one thing, but to eat them during, their season, their peak season, is when they're really the best. So having also interactions with folks at the farmers market boosts mental health. And then in economic benefits, we see a lot of the farming community benefiting because the dollar will go to the farm itself and not to these other companies that are involved in the middle as the middlemen in the supply chain. So we also see more job opportunities being built for farms and for different aspects of the food industry. We see increased pay and equity for farm workers when money is also being redirected to farms. And in environmental aspects, we have, maintaining the farmland a little bit better, less fuel and resources spent, less pollution, and also because there's less handling, lessening the middlemen, there's also better food safety results. So we have lower risks of food contamination as well. And so these slides kind of touch on this a little bit deeper. This is an infographic that highlights some of the key, components of local food. And according to the, Institute of Food Research, food loses up to 45% of its nutritional value between being picked and landing on a grocery shelf. So if you think about that and the impact of that, you know, that has on us health-wise, there is a really big discussion to be had here. So, you know, looking at freshly picked produce versus produce within a week, you're already losing half of the value nutritionally. So there is a really big benefit of understanding, or not understanding, but of understanding and also trying our best to choose local when we have that opportunity, since it provides us with more nutritional value. So this infographic here really highlights how that works, and typically, you know, how long it takes for our food to arrive on our table. So we also have here, looking at Florida specifically, you know, according to the research done by Professor Alan Hodges from the University of Florida, he's on our advisory council. According to his research, if $10 were spent every week at farms and farmers markets, then about $3 billion would be generated annually for the farming sector. So it's a really big numbers here that we're talking about in terms of how our dollar benefits our local farmers and the local economy. So it's something that just wanted to shed light on in terms of the benefits of local food. And so, in talking about networks, you know, we talked about the Florida Local Food Network, and I wanted to explain a little bit more here how we have come to this process. So we in phase one of this year, we kind of looked at different platforms that already exist. We researched different technology that might benefit farmers and other people in the food system. And we kind of are moving forward with the virtual platform that we're calling the Florida Local Food Access Network. And something that I really want to announce is the launch of this network. So we are actually going to be launching the Florida Local Food Network in January of 2024. So just in a couple of months, this platform will be made available, and it's actually something that we've been working very, very hard on in determining what platform might be the best for this network. And so with this kind of network, we have, like I mentioned before, a public forum, a section on events, a section on you know, members, groups, a map. There's a lot of different things that we're hoping to bring to the table with this kind of network. And a couple of features I want to highlight here are the types of posts you can make. You have the option of making a discussion post, a request, an offer, a resource, project, event, or even starting a new group. So there's a lot of different things that this platform offers. It was actually made by a couple of people in San Francisco Bay Area to help with community building, and specifically also with the farming community. So this also shows the member directory and the map, where we can also see where everyone is located and be able to communicate with everyone more closely. And so what we also determined is that having a phone app is going to be really helpful for people that are always on the go. So this platform, it will be available on the phone through a mobile app. And so there is going to be options of joining it through your phone, through your website, through the computer, I mean, and so forth. So in order to get the updates on this particular network, we really encourage everyone to scan this QR code here to be able to join our database. Through that database, you will be receiving updates over the next couple of months from this project. You will also receive the official invitation to be invited to the Florida Local Food Network and other exclusive event invitations for this network. So really want to encourage everyone to be able to join this project and benefit from the connections that will be made through that. And I also am going to just quickly say, you know, please sign up, but also share this with people that you know that could benefit from this as well. And feel free to schedule a meeting with me to discuss this even further and talk about, you know, how you can benefit from this project and being a part of it in a bigger way. So with that, I just want to pass it on to Andy.
Thanks, Lana. All right. I'm gonna do my best here, share my screen. Let me know if you can see it in just a second. Good?
No. Yes.
Yes? Okay, great. All right, so like I said, my name's Andy. I'm filling in for Courtney, who is our virtual farmers market coordinator, as well as the coordinator for the Florida Farmers Market Association, which we run. So if you have any interest in either of those programs, I'm going to get into them a little bit, but you can reach out to FOG in general, and you can reach out to Courtney specifically. Today, we wanted to go over some ways that food businesses and farm businesses specifically can diversify their businesses and their income streams. So this is by no means all of them, but we're going to touch on these today. So sales avenues, value-added products, specialty crops, alternative production strategies, agritourism, and alternative currencies. So sales avenues. What I'm going to talk about for this topic is community farmers markets, festivals and fairs, local food retailers, online sales, cafes, and restaurants. And all of this information, well, I'll say most of this information that I'm pulling today is from the Florida Farmers Market Association. In fact, we have a toolkit, an online toolkit that you can all access very easily from your browser at farmersmarkettoolkit.org. And there will be a link that you can, a QR code that you can scan. But we had a grant several years ago that we created this toolkit that's available online. So I don't have that much time today, but if you want to delve deeper into these topics, we have so many resources and opportunities for you to learn online on the toolkit. So community farmers markets, I'm sure people here are all quite familiar with them, but it is one of the ways that folks that are growing food or running food enterprises can get into the market pretty easily. It's sort of a low cost way of selling your products. In terms of just what it costs you to be a part of a farmer's market. It's also kind of a low risk in terms of trying things out and putting it out there for people to come and see what you've got to offer. There's a built-in community of people who are looking to buy products, so that also helps with sales. It's flexible hours. You can be a part of multiple farmers markets often in communities as they go on different days throughout the week. The built-in marketing, so there's the farmers markets themselves are actually doing a lot of the marketing for you. And there's a community and cooperative spirit there. So being with fellow food growers and makers. Some of the disadvantages, of course, the big one, labor intensive. They take a lot of hours out of the week to just be there. And that is not always an option for everyone. So we've got other things we'll be talking about beyond farmers markets that might be a better fit or even just an additional fit for your food businesses. Of course, there's also the weather. I'll point that one out too. It's not always fun to be at farmers markets. Wherever you are in Florida, we have a lot of trouble with heat and rain. Festivals and fairs, this is really along the same lines as farmers markets, but are more special opportunities. Some of the things that might be more advantageous at a festival or fair is that you're being introduced to a new population of customers potentially. So a more varied or new customer base. Again, it's fostering community, just like the farmers markets. But again, it's labor intensive, and often for these sorts of events, you're preparing in really large volumes, and that can be pretty risky for some small businesses. Local food retailers, this is a great option for some folks, depending on what you have available in your community. There are, I know in Gainesville, multiple retailers that take on produce and food from local businesses and local farms. I can think of Ward's as one of them. I know I worked on a farm in Alachua County, and we were often dropping off produce and things there, along with restaurants and cafes and things like that. This is a good option in some cases, as it's not as labor intensive in terms of standing and selling your wares for a long period of time every week. Greater access and flexibility for both the producer and the customers, so they can have access to your products more often. There's the cross promotion piece as well, so being within a larger store and being promoted alongside other products and their store. Obviously, the indoor environment is very helpful in terms of not having to deal with weather. And again, I'm just sort of touching on things. There are a lot more resources on the website, the Farmers Market Toolkit, where there's more tips and actual resources for how to get into these avenues if you're a newcomer. Cafes and restaurants, again, great way to share your products to your community. Oftentimes, if a restaurant or cafe is really dedicated to local foods, they're going to be promoting where they're getting their products. And so that's promotion for your business. Also provides an outlet for any produce or foods that maybe aren't as beautiful to be putting out at your stand at a farmer's market. Again, larger volumes, so you can be doing wholesale, which is often very helpful for our local producers, and consistent sales. Disadvantages. If you're working with a restaurant, they often have a menu that doesn't change that often. So they're looking for a consistent product and a consistent access to that product. So steady supply, that can be really tough for some producers. Last minute deliveries are tough. This is a topic that we touch on all the time when talking about the Florida Local Food Project. The competition with national restaurants and other just companies who are sort of taking on the local label. So we need to spend time educating the folks that we're selling to, or the customers, the eaters, about what is truly local, because it can be very well, it can be used inappropriately. We see it all the time. Local is used all over the place. Online sales, this is not so new, but very much increasing in popularity, and there's more access as well to our local vendors, our local food growers. And there's many places that people can get involved with online sales. This creates more opportunity for sales, expands the customer base, the market. Again, you can be doing larger volumes, sometimes smaller volumes even, which can be helpful in some ways. It creates greater access to local foods and convenience for our customers. You can do pre-orders, so that's a very helpful situation for a lot of farmers who are, taking things off of they know what they're growing, but they don't always know what they're going to be able to sell. So in this way, you can be putting your product up online and only picking what you need. Like I was mentioning, there's a huge availability of platforms now out there. So it's not as labor intensive as it used to be to get set up online with these sorts of sales. Some of the places where it's a little bit more challenging, you have to get credit card transactions set up. There's often a delivery component, which might not be suitable for everyone. With the online sales route, we wanted to introduce some folks or talk about an opportunity that we have with Florida organic growers. We have a farmers market promotional program project that we started a couple of years ago called the Backyard Market, or it's a virtual farmers market where we have different hubs located throughout the state, and we're looking for more, which I'll get to. But we have basically created an online platform for farmers to be able to sell their products through. So if you go to backyardmarket.com, I think, or org. I think I've got it here. Backyardmarket.org. You can check out what we have in store right now. We basically have created a platform where multiple farmers and food vendors can sell, just like a farmer's market, an in-person farmer's market. So kind of a cooperative idea where you can be selling every week what you've got in store or out in the field, and be updating that on a weekly basis. And the farmers and food vendors bring only their ordered products to one hub location, or if you're in a certain area of Florida, you might be eligible to be a part of a couple of hubs. But it offers that convenience for food growers and food entrepreneurs, and flexibility. You don't have to be selling anything week to week. If you have less stock one week, you don't have to post anything, but it gives you another avenue for selling your products. It's convenient for shoppers, just like an in-person farmers market. And this, I'll say, it's not supposed to replace farmers market in any way. We love farmers markets. It's just another way for, we hope, a different customer base to be accessing local foods. So that's a one-stop, very convenient location for customers to get their local produce. Like I said, the advantage of knowing your sales in advance, so there's less waste. It's a super easy pickup experience because we have hub coordinators who are there packing boxes for those that are picking up. So you can order from multiple vendors and conveniently pick it up in one spot. We have locations across Florida, which I'll get into. There's an ease of payment. It's right on the website, and we're now accepting SNAP and Fresh Access bucks in person, which is exciting. We do promotion, and so FOG does the promotion and all the legwork in terms of maintenance, packing, and all the market pickup at the hubs. So it's supposed to be an easy additional stream for farmers. So if you know any farmers in the regions where we are, please let them know that we exist, and we'd love to have them be a part of it. Here are our current locations. I probably should have put this one first. We're in West Palm Beach, Edgewater, Dania Beach, and Tampa, but we're also looking to open some hubs in Homestead, Miami, Orlando, and Key West. So if there are any organizations or people out there that are interested, we would love to hear from you. You can reach Courtney at virtualmarket@foginfo.org, or you can check out the Backyard Market directly at backyardmarket.org. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we did have some questions that I thought we'd get into. We wanted to hear from all of you about where you typically shop for locally grown food and artisanal food items. So if you can join us at the Slido poll, we'd love to hear that. And we'd also love to hear what items you're purchasing at these locations. So we're curious as to what's available in your communities and where you get them from. Kathy, I don't know if I need you to share or if it's going to pop up.
We did hit the second slide, and does it show a question?
Nope. just goes to the next one. So should I stop sharing?
Yep, I don't know. Get you covered.
Right, technical difficulties. And Lana, what am I at for time?
It's 1:06 right now, so we still have Meredith. We would have to have maybe 5 to 10 minutes for questions. So
So I should have been done a few minutes ago.
technically,
I'll just,
we're a little behind, but that's okay. I would say maybe
I can leave a couple
1:10.
things out and yeah, great. No problem. And like I said, this is really, obviously we're not getting really far into these things. I'd really love for people to check out our resources at farmersmarkettoolkit.org. All right. What items are you purchasing at these locations? Olive oils, goat cheese, vegetables, produce, if you can find it, fruits and vegetables. So a lot of produce. That's great. Oh, great. And I see that Erica said we'll be sharing links and follow-up information. So if you didn't get a chance to get everyone's emails or websites down, it'll be in a follow-up. Kimchi, love kimchi. And I've got another person typing. Fresh honey. Sorry, honey and fresh produce. Great. All right. Should we go to question 2? Where? Market, farmer's market. I'm guessing both farmer's markets. It's good.
Sorry, the poll opened it and backwards, so it should have been the first question is where do you shop locally? And then what?
I mean, I'm sure it's a lot of farmers markets with our participants today. Not farmers market. Great. We love to hear it. We'd like to see, people getting local foods elsewhere.
My garden, yeah.
Oh, nice. Farmers, great. Public's great. I'd like to hear it. All right, just one more and then I'll probably get back to it and whip through some other things. Our farms, great. So farms, farmers, farmers markets, love it. All right, I'm going to get back to it somehow. Sorry. This is what you meant when you said hurry up, right? All right, so went through this. Backyard market, did that. All right, so value added. Obviously, changing up your raw ingredients and repackaging them is a really great way to add different revenue streams for your business. So value added being a change in the physical state or form of the product, such as milling wheat into flour or making strawberries into jam. The 2 big pieces that I want to talk to you all about with value added today is the distinction between cottage foods and working with value added foods in a permanent kitchen. So cottage foods allows for certain foods that are considered non-hazardous to be produced in a home kitchen rather than produced, in a commercial kitchen. So it sort of gives a little bit of leeway for folks that are starting businesses or have, limited access to sort of state-of-the-art facilities. And you can get into more information at farmersmarkettoolkit.org. Like I said, there's pretty much everything you need to know about cottage foods and how to start a cottage food business online there. But some of the advantages of doing a cottage food product is low startup cost, relaxed regulations. You can use your home kitchen, so you can be creating your products right at home. You can test your businesses. So again, it's like that low startup cost. You can sort of test out your products before investing more money. So it's a really helpful way of doing this. Florida is very cottage food friendly. If you are all at farmers markets, you will know this. I'm sure you've seen, the homemade labels and different products that are being sold right there at your farmers markets. And again, direct to consumer sales. So those are some of the advantages. Disadvantages: limited income potential. You're not going to be making huge volumes of these things. There is a limited set of products, which I can show on the next slide. Limited venues to sell products. So these all have to be sold at farmers markets and nowhere else. No wholesaling or selling in retail shops, like I said. And you can't sell outside of Florida state lines, so it limits your market access. And you can't sell non-cottage food items, obviously. So this is the almost full list of what is allowed and what is prohibited. I won't go through them all, but some of them, jams, honey, vinegars, popcorn, those are all very common things that I see at the farmers markets. Some of the things that are prohibited would be salsas, canned fruits, like anything that shows some heightened risk, I guess, to consumers is what the government's worried about. But it is, I'll just say before I move on, the cottage foods are really a great way to start, dip your toe into value-added products. Permanent kitchens, this is a way that you can branch out, increase your volume of the products that you're creating, or get into the non-permitted side of the cottage food list that we were just going through. These are inspected facilities, and so there's a higher stipulations in terms of food safety laws and that sort of thing. So there are a couple of ways to get access to these commercial kitchens. You can build one, which is a very high cost, or there are actually a lot of commissary kitchens that are available for food entrepreneurs across the state and beyond, obviously. That we don't actually have the list currently on the toolkit, but that is something that we're working on right now, is to create a list of accessible commissary kitchens or permitted facilities in your local communities. What I've heard from farmers and food entrepreneurs is it's a great way to obviously ramp up their business, but also to find that community of other entrepreneurs, and to gain access to training and learning it in terms of food safety. And you have access to the equipment, all of the facilities, all the things that you need to ramp up your food business. So as I've sort of been talking this whole way through, this is a screenshot from our farmers market toolkit. We, under the grant that we had, we really focused in on food safety and entrepreneurship or business management, but there's lots and lots and lots of resources here for everyone. You can check that out if you're looking to start a business, start to sell value-added products, even selling just through farmers markets or other avenues. It's all there. We also have a food safety quiz, and there's all kinds of food safety information before that you can go through to learn better practices in handling food. And one of the big pieces of this website that I should have added a picture of it, but anyway, that is used most often from folks that are logging on is our Find a Market page, which is a map and has all of our member farmers markets across Florida on the map. So if you are a part of a market that's not on that map, we would love to hear from you. And it's basically, again, more promotion, free promotion for the markets and the people that are selling at those markets. And we try to do highlights of vendors and farmers markets on our social media and in our newsletters. Again, this is how you can join. You can go right to the toolkit website and join through there, or you can contact FOG directly. This was a question that we'd love to, I'll probably wrap it up here. I'll just quickly go through some of the things, but we would love to expand on our toolkit website that we've created. So we would love to hear from everyone in terms of what you as a farmer or you who work with farmers or food entrepreneurs are looking to see in terms of resources. So like I said, we've got food safety information, we've got entrepreneurship. What are the other topics that people really need access to resources and information on? So you can add your answers in the chat. I'm going to just quickly go through a couple of other things that I won't be able to talk about in detail. But another way of diversifying your revenue streams is being able to take public benefits like SNAP, Fresh Access Bucks, WIC, the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program vouchers. All of those, you're getting access to a different set of customers and providing access to local fresh food to more marginalized communities, which is fantastic. Specialty crops, that's another revenue stream. So expanding the crops that we typically see on farms in our areas to include special things like edible flowers, microgreens, mushrooms, any organics, heritage or culturally specific foods. One of the things I wanted to highlight with the specialty crops is a project by Santa Fe College in Alachua County. They're working on this Florida Heritage Foods project that we were a part of for a little while. And they have all kinds of information about what's in season in terms of it's a set of culturally significant foods that can be grown in Florida. So they've got some really interesting information on their website. So you can look at, just Google Florida Heritage Foods project. Alternative production strategies, I won't go into this at all because I know that Meredith is going to, but basically adding value to your products through certification. And agritourism, the last thing I wanted to touch on. Again, we have information about agritourism on our website, but one of the best places to get information about agritourism in Florida is visit floridafarms.org or the Agritourism Association in Florida. There are so many ways to get people out onto your farm and creating revenue in a different way than simply selling your products. And it creates a great connection between the grower and the buyers. And we hope, reconnects those, reconnects people to the land and how things are grown around them. This is the contact information. It'll all be sent to you. I'm done. Thank you very much for having me.
I love it. Thank you, Andy. Amazing information. FOG is definitely doing a lot of stuff that is pretty incredible. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna lightning fast run through adding value to your farm, to your brand with certification. These are the topics we're going to be kind of talking about. I want to give you some background information that we can build off of so that I'm not just like, this, and you have no clue what we're talking about. And we'll do the thing where, yes. Okay. So first and foremost, there are absolutely barriers to obtaining certification. There is a lack of accessible knowledge. Hopefully I can help you out with some of that. There is paperwork burden if you're a farmer and you don't have a massive staff. It's you and a couple people. Filling out the paperwork can be kind of a bear. And then also the cost of certification. I'll talk about some opportunities for cost shares and things like that so that can make it a little bit more accessible. But really, hopefully we can address some of these barriers. Breaking these down and getting resources in people's hands is a big passion of mine. So we'll talk about this. Something I do always like to make sure people know, even with these barriers and even with taking them down, certification is always going to cost some amount of money. It's always going to take some amount of time. And it's always going to require effort on your part. So just kind of knowing that, but then there's assistance along the way. You're not out in the cold. So I'll run through this real quick. So like I said, I work for a certifier, Quality Certification Services. We're an accredited certifier to several standards. You can see many of their logo marks on my little screen behind me. So I want to talk about like what we as a certifier do, differentiated from the work that an organization like FOG does. FOG is a advocacy organization, whereas a certifier, myself, anybody that works for QCS or any other certifier, we're here to provide third-party, non-biased enforcement to a set of standards, whatever that standard may be. In the case of this little kind of wireframe grid here on the side is how USDA organic certification works. So the USDA is obviously the government control agency, or the government agency. The control body, in other words, the entity that creates that regulation that we're enforcing, would be the National Organic Program. And then the certification body, such as QCS, then goes and certifies individual operations. So where we are overseeing individual operations, the NOP is overseeing us as the certifier. We get audited every year. We get, run through the paces every single year as well. So it's not just you guys. We don't do it for fun. We also have regulations that we have to follow as well. There's some other stuff in here. So, but yeah, the certifiers themselves are the ones that are issuing those certifications. So the USDA is not issuing you a certificate directly. That would come through a certification body. So the first thing I want to talk about really quick are label claims. I'm not trying to blow up anybody's spot with certain brands, but these are just images I found. So essentially, these are all things that, like plant-based, vegan, natural, kind of in the similar vein of talking about what does local food mean? Well, any of these things, any of these kind of label claims can really mean kind of whatever that company thinks they mean. So in terms of, saying something is plant-based, well, you can have a loaf of bread that could be considered plant-based, right? Because it's made out of grain. But what does that actually mean? Like if you're eating a plant-based diet, you should be eating a loaf of sourdough bread every night. I don't know. That's the life I want to live. But, as a for example. So all of these things, though, don't really have any backing. They don't have anything. There's no control body. There's no certifiers. There's no third party coming in and saying, yes, you are plant-based because you hit all of these various criteria. So in essence, label claims, what do they mean? Not much on a verifiable level, right? They obviously, you have truth in advertising, but in general, there's nothing really behind them. So that's where certification comes in. And we're talking about what sets certification apart. So the one thing also that I want to touch on very briefly, and I know I'm sorry, I'm speeding through this really quickly. There's government standards and there's private standards. We're going to be talking about USDA organic because that is overseen by the federal government of the United States. There's, we also certify to other ones. There's private standards, which are created by nonprofits, non-governmental agencies, etc. They have to often hit a lot of the same requirements. So what sets certifications apart, they're third-party verified. There are rigorous regulations and or requirements that you have to hit in order to be able to use that certification mark. And there's also continual oversight. We are always checking in on you and making sure you're doing what you say you're doing. So that's kind of the strength of those. I wish I had more time to chat about these. I do want to give you guys time for questions. I included these in here to go over breaking down into individual steps, how you become USDA organic certified, as well as GAP certified. These are the two biggest certifications that can add value to your brand from a buyer perspective. So obviously, USDA organic certification, it's this big, scary thing that a lot of people think, oh my God, I'll never be able to do it. It takes years and years, all this stuff. Not true. You can break it down into pretty easy steps. My entire job is walking people through this process. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. GAP certification is another government regulated system. The process is a little different because what they are auditing for is food safety. GAP stands for Good Agricultural Practices. And GAP is only looking at the end product, whereas organic certification is looking for the process by which something is created. So blow through those, but in general, the value add proposition, organics as an industry is, as of last year, had a 4% growth rate overall, which is pretty incredible to make it a $67.6 billion industry. By and large, fruits and vegetables take up the largest portion of that, and it is consistently the place that we see people that get certified organic people that are getting their vegetables, fruits, etc., certified organic are the ones that are able to see that command that higher price point with a verified certification behind it. In terms of the value add proposition for GAP certification, definitely comes down to it opens up a lot of retail market opportunities for you. I know that places like Whole Foods, Publix, etc., will not buy from you if you do not have a GAP certification. Because it's reducing the risk of foodborne illnesses as well as revenue loss due to recalls or poor reputations, etc. So a lot of times by getting that GAP certification, that food safety certification, you're opening up your retail market opportunities. And by having that organic certification, you're able to command a higher price point. I have a bunch of resources here. This is just the very beginning, scratching the surface of stuff. I don't know if this presentation will be emailed out to people. I'm very happy to download it and email it to anybody that would like it on this, because these are all links that will go directly to various resource pages. So I think that's it. Oh my gosh. Okay, we got 2 minutes left. And
Thank you, Meredith.
yes, absolutely. And yeah, if these are our my phone number is the second one down on this screen. There's my direct email address. Please feel free, anybody, if you have questions, absolutely reach out to me. I'd be happy to chat with you.
So I know we are very close on time, 1:29. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself, ask out loud, put it in the chat. We can try to get to you really quickly. But just to reiterate, while we're waiting on anyone to raise their hand or anything, that we are just providing all this information in addressing the main needs and barriers that have been brought up to us. But we can make this slideshow available in the follow-up email so everyone can have access to that as well as the recording. So we'll just let it open it up just for the last minute, see if anyone else has any last questions.
Thank you all so much.
Erica Hardison, please ask your question.
Hi, good afternoon. And I just want to thank you guys for making this presentation. It was great, but I also wanted to see if I could make a brief announcement.
Absolutely.
We have having a food forum on Tuesday about the USDA for farmers, and I will try and put a link in the chat here shortly. So if anyone on the call, and that would be great.
You are breaking up a little bit, Erica. So if you want to put that information in the chat, please do that. I heard something about an upcoming food
I'll do
forum.
that. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Andy, would you like to make that one last announcement as well?
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know here that we are bringing back our Organic Food and Farming Summit that we started back in 2017 and had in 2018. So that'll be happening in April 2024. We are still working on a couple of details, but please go to foginfo.org to get all the information as it emerges. We would love to see you in Tampa in April. Thanks.
Erica has her hand raised. Erica?
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
For the April farming summit, do you have any openings for speakers?
We do. We're actually taking that information and if you put your information, I can email you directly, or if you go to the fog.info.org, our website, you'll see the summit, and then it will have the direct links for interested in being considered as a speaker for an engagement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And great event today. Thanks, ladies.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. I'm actually going to put the link in the chat here, directing you directly to the summit information. So you can enter speaker information, sponsorship information, anything that you're interested in doing for that event. And we will be announcing more events happening for the Florida Local Food Project. So please stay tuned. And if you haven't already signed up on our website to have access to the newsletter that we send out, we do make announcements through there. We will eventually make announcements through the Florida Local Food Network platform. So we will launch that, as I said, January 2024. But if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to email us. And thank you guys so much for your time today.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much.
Have a great rest of your day.
Great job, everyone.
Yeah, that was great. How
Um,
do you all feel about it?
I feel bummed out that we had some some timing issues with the the technical difficulties with the polling and whatnot. We tried this new platform, Slido, and clearly we haven't figured it out 100%, but we wanted to really collect some solid. Oh, we're still recording, Erica.